Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from just a throwaway 282641 and says, my family forgot to invite me to my grandparents' funeral, but they are convinced I was there. I'm 30s female and caused a major blow up in my family, and now none of them are talking to me. For background, my hometown is tiny, 500 population, and when I went 2 hours away to the city, 15,000 population, for college, I loved it. I ended up staying after graduation, got married, and I'm happy here for a decade. I visit my hometown every few weeks or so, call and text my family near daily, and thought we were all good. My family's pretty small, just my brother, mum, stepdad, dad, stepmom, and aunt and uncle. Mum's siblings never married, no kids. My mother's grandparents moved to my hometown when I was in high school and were just down the street from us. My family has always been pretty drama-free, aside from my parents' divorce when I was a kid, and we've been happy. The step-parents were blended in perfectly, and we share holidays and celebrations together. We're all super close and just the perfect little group. Ever since I moved away, the topic of when am I moving back is constant, and I've always laughed it off. My hometown has nothing. You have to drive 30 minutes for milk and bread, 60 to 90 minute one-way commutes to work, and floods shut down the main road every Easter. I love the town, but I love here more. I have parks, stores, community events, and a library. The city is great. My family grumbles that I need to move back, but I refuse. I've been trying to encourage them to come here, especially since it's not an hour drive to the nearest medical facility. Now to the meat and potatoes. Both my grandparents passed over COVID times. They were both old and their health had been failing for a while, so it was only a matter of time. Thankfully, they didn't catch it, but it made visiting them impossible, and we survived mostly through FaceTime. Both were cremated and kept securely under the kitchen sink for safekeeping while the pandemic blew over. That was 2021. Well, I just found out my family held a funeral for them and scattered the ashes in my uncle's maple grove over the summer. No one said a word to me about it. I visited numerous times before and after, and not one word. I only found out because my great uncle from California posted on Facebook a few weeks ago that he is entering hospice, and was so thankful his health stayed strong enough for him to see his little sister, my grandma, to her final resting place. I was confused and called my mum. She was all, yeah, the funeral we had in July, remember? I visited them for the 4th of July. They did the funeral the 8th, not a word about it to me. They had planned this for months, long enough to arrange for my infirm great uncle to be brought over from the other side of the country. Apparently, they talked about it all the time. Everyone is convinced I was at the funeral. I swear I was there. I can prove I wasn't because Google's got my location history. My hubby is baffled because he was supposedly there too. He had to work every weekend in June and July. Time clock doesn't lie. My family straight up forgot about me. I'm hurt, I'm sad, and they're pissed at me for lying. They think I'm causing drama over nothing. Nothing I say can convince them I wasn't there. My family is united in this, and they've all put me on red until I admit I'm wrong. I think I've gone nuts. Either there's a doppelganger of me attending events, or my family doesn't want to admit they screwed up. I'm not backing down. Thanksgiving is coming up, and my family's been vague, posted on Facebook about forgetful kids and mental health. It's so freaking weird, and I don't know if I'm in bizarro world or what's going on. My mum's best friend reached out and said I should just admit I was wrong and apologize. I'm causing my mum so much unnecessary stress. I asked her if she's checked everyone's home for CO2. She hung up on me. We checked our CO2 and our testers are running just fine. I've reached out to a few people in my hometown to check on my folks, and they all say they are fine. I even spoke with a local volunteer firefighter group to see if they could check for gas leaks. Not sure if they were able to. I I don't know what to do. I've shown them proof I wasn't there, but they know I'm tech savvy and just assumed I photoshopped it. Hubby says we need a break and we're going to be staying home this holiday season. Edit. I don't know the update rules, so I'll post updates to my profile should anyone want them. As always, we had some relevant comments which OP replied to, so Tian Tome says, yeah, they know they messed up big time and don't want to admit it, but they created this narrative to make themselves look and feel better, and now have pushed it so hard that friends and the community are in on it. They might even believe it themselves at this point. It can happen. I agree with your husband. Take a break and decide what is best for you going forward. In other words, what can you live with and how much do you want them in your life given the gaslighting? Sorry, families can be difficult, especially with self-centered drama. OP responded saying, that's kind of our thoughts, that they forgot and don't want to lose face in the community, and now they've dug themselves in too deep to get out. If they truly do believe it, it scares me that they've all agreed to this delusion. Quazis says, I feel like I need more info, but not even sure what to ask. However, to me it sounds intentional that they didn't invite you, and were maybe hoping this would make you want to move home again so you don't forget any more family events. If anyone said something like, well, if you lived in town you would have known, then that's the answer. It would also make me want to find out how everyone else was told about said funeral. Were they called, text, emailed, told at 4th of July? Maybe if everyone else was invited in person, they did just forget to invite you, but even that would seem kind of like a stretch if you do go back and visit and call as much as you say. OP says, I thought this at first, but it just seems so cruel and unlike them. They like where I live, say it's nice and occasionally visit. I don't know how the event was organized, but I'm guessing word of mouth. Like I said, I was just there just a few days earlier. We had a big meal and set off fireworks. Hubby and I had taken the 5th off and we left that evening after a lovely dinner and some board games. We talk all the time on the phone. My stepmom calls me almost every night, used to anyway. It's been a weird few weeks not talking to them. I get home from work and start automatically pulling up someone to call, and then I remember. I usually talk to my dad every Sunday morning while we drink our coffee. Not having him call this week had me sitting outside in my usual spot and just sitting. I don't know how to describe it. Felt kind of numb and weird. Hubby's been working on cheering me up. He's so angry at this whole thing. I'm afraid he's gonna just leave one morning, drive over there and start knocking heads around. And obviously I'm hoping for more information in the updates that's going to be coming up, but with the information that we do have, and you know, I can't prove it in any way, it just feels to me that this is intentional for some reason. Like that last comment said, in trying to get you to come back, some kind of resentment towards you that you left your town and you have no intention of coming back. And I'm trying to find a reason. Your family, it's not like it's just one person, it sounds like a whole bunch of them are gaslighting you to say that you was at this funeral when you said yourself that you wasn't. And I'm trying to think of any reason, like OP did, like the CO2 and just anything. And if it was just one person saying this, maybe I could get it, but it seems like a whole bunch of people are saying it. Anyway, OP comes in with their first update and says, not sure how to do updates on posts, so I figured I'd post anything on my profile. Folks have private messaged me and this will be easier, I think. It's 27th of the 11th and Thanksgiving just happened. Hubby and I stayed home. We got a small turkey and made our own little Thanksgiving. It was nice. We ate around noon, then watched a movie, and later sat outside with a bottle of wine to watch the sunset behind the trees and neighbors' houses. We usually take the day before off, drive to my folks, stay the night and help with the Thanksgiving Day cooking. So it wasn't until Wednesday night that my mum broke the silence. Mum called and asked when I was showing up, and I told her we were staying home this year, but for them to have a happy Thanksgiving and give the rest of the family my love. She was quiet for a long time after I said that, and I think she eventually mumbled an okay or something and hung up. It wasn't an angry hang up, just a hang up. On Thanksgiving Day, I sent a group Happy Thanksgiving gift to our family group chat. I received a few Happy Thanksgivings back. No one said anything else. There's been no posts on Facebook. Next update, December 12th says, so I think I mentioned in one of my comments that my dad and I usually talk on the phone every Sunday morning. We're both early risers, so we'd chat over morning coffees and watch the sunrise. Him and I haven't really spoken since this all went down, and it's been tough. I'm used to talking to him, you know. Well, I was sitting outside in my usual spot, watching the sunrise and freezing my butt off, and he called me. I'm not entirely sure how to describe the emotions I felt. It was a mix of panic, hope, terror, happiness, and dread. I ended up answering because I just had to know what he wanted. It was an awkward conversation. He didn't address the current drama, but instead tiptoed around the situation with all the grace of a cow on stilts. For instance, a simple "how are you doing" type question was answered with a "not good," and the whole conversation would stall out for a bit because he knew why I wasn't doing well. We ended up talking about the weather, the various winter birds we'd seen in our feeders, and the Christmas decorations around town, things like that. Eventually he asked if we're coming out for Christmas and sounded sad when I told him we weren't. He asked if him and stepmom could come visit us instead, and I told him it wasn't a good idea this year, that hubby and I were going to spend a quiet holiday together. I let him know he should be receiving some gifts at his PO box any day now, so to please pick them up from the post office and put them under the family tree for everyone. He said he'd ship ours to us as well. And that was pretty much it. No crazy drama to report. The only posts on Facebook have been the usual Christmas excitement ones, countdowns, photos of Santa, silly gift ideas, photos of company Christmas parties. On a personal note, hubby and I are doing alright. Our health is good, our spirits are high, and we're as solid as ever. We each got Christmas bonuses at our job, so we're excited about that. They're not large, but we're happy to have them. We have also done advent calendars for the first time ever. I got him a Lego one, and he got me a hot chocolate one. We're going to do the calendars again next year. Maybe make a tradition out of it. Everyone, please have a safe and happy holidays. Now, we do have some more updates on this one to come, but I just want to jump in really quickly to just give my thoughts on it. And it just feels like, I don't know which way this is going to go, to be quite honest, but it feels like that they know they've messed up at this point, but still just don't want to admit it, which I feel is incredibly sad and frustrating for the OP in this story, absolutely. But at the same time, small little nice things I'm seeing is that they're starting to build their own little traditions about the calendars and stuff like that, and spending their time together, their own holidays, which I think is quite nice in some ways as well. Obviously, I don't think OP's seeing it at that moment because family is treating them, which is absolutely awful. But OP adds another post on their profile December 16th titled Inheritance and says, I've received a lot of messages and private DMs urging me to check into inheritance and such. I'm really touched a lot of internet strangers are worried about me, and I wanted to ensure everyone that inheritance is most likely not an issue here. I'd almost be relieved if it was, because then it would at least make some sense. Money does weird things to people, you know. No one in my family is wealthy by any means. After my grandparents passed, their small estate was used to pay for their end-of-life expenses, and remaining assets split up. Everyone directly related got an equal split, excluded my dad and the step-parents. I don't remember the exact amount I received, but it was around 5k if I recall. My brother gave me his share too, so I could finish paying off my college debt while the interest freeze was active. The great uncle from California has kids and grandkids and great-grandkids of his own, and also isn't wealthy. I think one of his kids make good money doing something in finance, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't imagine he left us anything, as we hardly knew him. My mum, aunt, and uncle only met him a few times in their lives, and my brother and I even less. Grandma and him were close, but I don't think he liked my grandpa much. OP updated on Christmas Day and titled the post Christmas. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. I've received a lot of support through my posts, and I'm really grateful. Writing these updates has had a therapeutic effect. Yesterday was Sunday, but I didn't answer my dad when he called. I just really didn't feel up to a pointless chat, so let it go to voicemail. He tried to reach me a few times throughout the day, but I didn't answer. Our bestie last minute invited us over to his house for Christmas Day lunch today. So husband and I were busy all Christmas Eve making cookies, peanut brittle, and homemade suckers/hard candies for his kids. Mum tried to reach out as well, but I also ignored her calls. We had a blast at lunch. Our friends' kids are a lot of fun to be around. They got some techie presents from their grandparents, Quest VR headset, and Steam Decks. Lucky little rascals. I love a little rascals. Friend and his wife aren't good with tech, while hubby and I are. So we helped them get set up, while our friend played a good host to his folks and in-laws. The grandparents didn't realize that a Steam Deck required a Steam account, so we got the kids all their own accounts set up, added them to our Steam friends list, and gifted them some games. We also bought them a few VR games for their headset, and they were off to the races with Beat Saber in no time. As for my folks, my brother texted and asked if we could talk sometime tomorrow. I think me ignoring mum and dad has caused some kind of upset, which they deserve. The following day, Opie adds a post called Brother's Call. Spoke with my brother over the phone this morning. For starters, he apologized for everything. Him and I are good, for now. For a bit of background, my brother and I are only 2 years apart. There weren't a lot of kids around growing up, so the two of us were often stuck doing stuff together. So we have a lot of shared interests and passions. He's been pretty silent on this whole matter, but still part of the group, if you know what I mean. I think the thought of losing him out of my life was probably the most painful because he's always been there. He was my rock until I met my husband. He's definitely a mama's boy though, so anything mum wanted he made sure she got. I'm happy to have him back. Without further ado, here's the story from the horse's mouth. Mum apparently had a cancer scare late last year, which no one told me about, go figure. And Dad had a stent put in his heart back in January, which I did know about. This sense of morality has apparently lit a fire under Mum's ass to get me back home. But since I wasn't reacting to her passive-aggressive hinting, she and stepmom decided to go full crazy. My uncle's health was bad, and he'd been asking about funeral arrangements for his sister, my grandma, for a while, so the mums decided to plan it, and use the event as a giant middle finger to me. They kept all the planning pretty hush-hush between the two of them, so no one on our side of the family actually knew about the funeral until like 2 weeks before. The mums said they'd invited hubby and I. No one thought anything about it. No one thought to mention, confirm, or check with me. The plan was to scatter the ashes, say a few words, and maybe head to town for lunch. It was a small affair. The mums didn't even tell the family that our great uncle was coming for it. Like I said, it was a small thing, barely a footnote. No one thought it was odd because we're pretty chill people. 4th of July happens, hubby and I are out. No one thought to mention it, as we were all busy celebrating and having a great time. Anytime the topic of this weekend would start, the conversation would be quickly shifted by one of the mums. We went back home. 8th of July happens, great uncle rolls into town with a few of his kids, grandkids and great-grandkids, and it's a surprise to everyone, but the mums. Everyone drives to the Maple Grove and the mums have bought a ton of food and stuff. It's a full-blown party. No one on my side noticed I wasn't there, because there were so many extra faces outside the usual group. They did the spreading of the ashes, they said their words, they ate, they had a great time. It wasn't until our great uncle left and all his side left with him that they realized I wasn't there and hadn't been there. And this is where the crazy went up a notch. My brother says the mums were happy no one noticed I wasn't there, and that this was the proof to everyone that I needed to move back because I was so easily forgotten about, because none of them thought to reach out, right? They basically did a ton of guilt-tripping manipulation bullshit and made everyone upset at me for not showing up. Somehow it was my fault for being excluded. So suddenly everyone was on their side with sticking it to me. But then a few months went by and tempers cooled, and then I guess the horror of it set in, followed by the shame. But by then they were in too deep. How do you undo something like this? And since I hadn't brought it up, I guess they figured they would all just stay quiet about it and hope I never asked about the funeral. That's when I discovered the situation from my great uncle's Facebook and called my mum, who panicked and went with the stupidest solution, claiming I was there. Don't I remember? I ended up talking with a few friends from high school, mentioning the situation, and word got back to those in town. So suddenly town gossip and a little old church ladies got involved. Was I or wasn't I at the funeral? Did my family forget to invite me to the funeral of the only grandparents I'd ever known? Or am I just causing a ruckus? My brother said they all just went with my mum's answer. Of course they wouldn't forget me. Of course I was there. Of course they are good people, and it just snowballed. The family expected me to eventually fold. I'm usually a non-confrontational person, so me sticking to my guns was unexpected. And then I missed Thanksgiving, and now Christmas. with no sign of backing down, and I guess the realization that I could stop being part of their lives is setting in, and my parents are panicking. He's tried just getting them to apologize and explain, but stubbornness prevails. They want to rug sweep, but I'm not letting them. My brother is upset with everything that's happened. He's realized just how crappy it has all been, and he wants nothing to do with it anymore. But since he lives with my mum, he can't get away from it. He has asked if he can come stay with us for a little bit. I spoke with hubby. He's in agreement with me that my brother can come crash in our spare bedroom for as long as he wants. Brother works remotely, so it's no trouble for him to pick up and go. I believe he's making the trip today or tomorrow. Not entirely sure, but I expect crap to hit the fan when he arrives. On a side note, hubby's stoked that my brother and I made up. Two usually game together, but haven't due to the situation. He's downstairs right now setting up his man cave in preparation for my brother's arrival. I'm happy to see him so excited. Next update from OP said brother's here. My brother rolled in late last night. He'd obviously been crying, and when I opened the door, he just held me and sobbed. I'd never seen him like that before, and soon both of us were just standing in the doorway crying into one another. He kept apologizing over and over again, said he wasn't sure why he went with it, just kept saying sorry. Hubby got him all set up in the spare bedroom while brother and I talked. My brother's a wreck. He's always been a big guy, but he's lost a lot of weight and his clothes just hang off him. If I didn't know better, I'd think he was on drugs. We talked for a little bit before bed and he re-explained everything for my husband. I told hubby the story, but it was just so weird that hearing it again helped. This morning my brother was up at dawn making some coffee and getting his workday going. Hubby's off all week. Lucky. So hubby made us working folks some pancakes and bacon. So far everything's peaceful. We've decided not to answer any calls from our family. They've been made aware that he arrived safely and that we're going to spend the New Year's together, and that we're not answering any calls until January 1st. They may text if they wish. I'm sure they're losing their minds. Serves them right. Everyone have a safe and happy New Year's. Don't drink and drive. And OP's latest update, January 2nd, saying, Happy 2024. Hope everyone has a safe and enjoyable holidays, and may the new year be full of joy and happiness. Not too much of an update. Things here have been quiet. My brother settled in nicely and he's a great housemate. Our place isn't very big, but we have a full basement and a nice outside patio and porch area, so it doesn't feel crowded at all with the extra addition. He's a quiet and clean guy. No hassle at all. He got some fresh clothes from Walmart, a haircut, and trimmed his beard, so he's more presentable now. He's a lady killer when he gets cleaned up. He's made nice with the very nosy but kind retired couple next door and is adapting to city living nicely. Folks back home have been mostly well behaved. There's been a few texts back and forth as we're not answering calls. Mum mainly wants to know when brother's coming back, but he's keen on staying here for a while. Mum said I can't keep him. I told her he's a grown-ass man and can do what he wants. Brother says he has her blocked after she ordered him to return home. Brother has tentatively asked if he could stay long term, should he decide to, or at least longer than a usual visitor would stay, which we're fine with. He has a good paying job and could afford an apartment, but he's never lived on his own and I would guess he has some anxiety about it. Should that be the case, he'll start paying us some rent and we'll probably just adjust to give him the basement as his own space. To which TNT Mum says to OP, where is the stepmom and stepdad in all of this? Have they reached out to apologize? OP, if your whole family each made a social media post fully admitting what they did in deal, would you forgive them? OP responds saying, everyone else has been pretty quiet about it. Stepdad does what mum wants, end of story there. If she's holding firm, he's got her back. I'm guessing stepmom is also still firmly on mum's side because she helped orchestrate the whole thing, which leaves my dad in a dilemma. Support the wife? Support the child? I'd hope he'd pick me, but I also understand that he might feel stuck. My aunt and uncle, haven't heard much of anything from them outside the happy insert holiday text. I think if they apologized, truly, honestly apologized, I would forgive them. If they explained themselves and made an effort to show me that they're truly sorry, to work to rebuild and not just stick their heads in the sand, I think I'd be okay with having them marginally back in my life. Hell, at this point, I'd be happy to receive a Hallmark card saying, I fucked up, with a picture of a cat in an upturned laundry basket. Anything to show me that they realize what they've done. And how long is the mother going to keep doing this? It just feels like, you know, she's never going to back down. And she's just going to keep pushing her family away. I got a feeling the brother's going to start thriving where he is right now, gain some confidence, get his own place, and want to live in the city. And it'd do him some good. This is only going to wind the mother up even more. It sounds like she already resents OP because of it, but the brother going as well? And fair play to OP for helping the brother in this situation. It sounds like they have a good bond. I wonder if the dad in this is going to crumble at some point. He sounds like he's more sad about the situation, but doesn't know how to deal with it. I mean, we can all see how to deal with it. Just admit your fuck up here. I don't think things will ever go back to normal. I mean, how does something go back to normal after this? After, you know, you've been gaslighted in this way and you're treating your child like this, trying to turn the rest of the family against you. Absolutely awful. But what do you guys make of this situation? Thank you to the OP as well for letting us read your story. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's story. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.